Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is D-Freed here today. This is a requested video, so we're going to be doing a video talking about the top characters you guys should be prioritizing when it comes to exchanging for character awakening Z power through the Zenkai Ultra Space Time Rush event. Got to make sure you say the Zenkai there. So I hope you guys enjoy this. Hit the thumbs up and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Today's video like goal is 2,000. If you guys have any other recommendations, let me know down below what you guys would like to see. First thing I want to say, you can see a list there. I've built it already. That is going to be the final standings of my characters. So if that's all you care for, boom, peace out. But one thing you need to know, the characters are not ordered based on how good they are. That is not the point of this. That is not what I tried to do here. I'm not saying that Ss3 Goku is the second best character here. I'm not saying that, you know, Blue Broly is like, or Green Broly, excuse me, like the, what, 6th, 7th best character here. That's not what this list is saying. This is based on the priorities, and obviously that's going to try to, I'm going to throw out as many qualifiers as I can, because it's going to pretty much be different for every player. Some people are going to have these Legends Limited characters at 7-star due to either spending a lot, spending a little bit, or even being free to play. Like, there are free players that have these characters at 7-star. People always tell me that in comments that they're free and they have some of these characters at 7-star just because they got them enough, right? That's just how it is. So everybody's going to be a little different. And then obviously some of these characters are going to be very widely at 7-star due to how old they are, or because they were updated in the story mode, like the Green Broly, Blue Ss3 Goku. Like, there was a number of these characters that were updated in story mode, like the Scouter Vegeta and old Red Goku. You guys are going to have at 7-star simply by getting the missions for them, and you'll be able to Zenkai Awaken them as well. So the list is predicated on the value that these characters will have to you. So the first thing I want to say is I said this in a separate video, but I think that most players, if you're like a budget player, a new player, especially like new players, because you have a little bit of foresight there, but if you're a budget player or whatever, you should be building up 2 or 3 teams that you're going to pretty much try to summon on. And if you care about the PvP side of things, I need to throw that qualifier out there. If you care about being competitive, right? Because if you don't care about that, you can kind of just do whatever, right? That doesn't really matter to you. This list doesn't really matter to you for the most part. But if you care about being competitive, right, you need to build maybe 2 or 3 teams, and hopefully they're good value teams that get updated frequently, and you summon for the characters to help improve those teams. A good example is Future. Future's about to get another LF. Future got buffed way back in the anniversary, and they've never fallen out of the meta since. We're about to hit the 3-year anniversary in a few months. That's how close it's been forever. And this is a game with heavy power creep. Future is still very relevant. Future is one of the best teams you can invest in, period, right? Because of the way that they built that team. A very future-proof team. Same goes for a team like God Key. Same thing goes for like the family teams, the Goku and Vegeta family teams. Well, Sun family and Vegeta family. Anyways, on top of that, things like that have good value as well would be like a Saiyan team. Regen is a team that resurfaces a lot. So that's kind of the thought process here. Hybrids is pretty good as well. So overall, to begin, Gohan I think is the most valuable character in the game. If, again, you have him at 7-star, right? You want to exchange for him, right? So this event was revamped not long ago, about a month ago. I have yet to play this iteration of it. It just got refreshed last week, but I've yet to play the second iteration of it. But it got revamped about a month ago, and the focus changed to being completely about Zenkai characters. Now, I have a whole little thing I'm going to say about the Zenkai system in the game at the end of the video, but I want to get more or less to the point. I don't want to kind of rant about something else right now. So stay tuned to the end of the video and let me know what you guys think about what I have to say then. But again, the CC is out of this event. It's probably going to be on the Tournament Power mode that's not about out yet or whatever, but it's completely about Zenkai Awakening characters because that's just the way the game is gone, right? And they're going to update this shop. They're just going to throw that out there. So this list is going to get outdated pretty quickly. But for now, this is what we have. They're going to update the shop, add more characters in, etc. So Gohan, like I said, Red Gohan, #1 most valuable character in the game. I said the list isn't ordered based on how good they are, but I guess if you want to put him as the one character that is ordered based on how good they is, I think he's the best character in the game, and it's really not all that close in comparison to any character on this list in most cases. So that being said, he's the #1. He's at the pinnacle of the game. He also is the most valuable character in general, in my opinion. His teams are really good, and what he brings to those teams is going to be very relevant going forward. And a key thing about Gohan going forward is being at the pinnacle of the game right now, and with the way that they've been balancing the Zenkai releases over the last month and a half, seems like they really noticed that they didn't want the the power creep to keep going with Zenkai characters. Zenkai characters have not been that crazy lately, so Gohan actually could realistically be like a top 2 or 3 character in the game for a really long time. I'm talking a really long time. So when you get him 7-star, he's no-brainer, instant. And the same goes for the other Legends Limiteds, but Gohan, no-brainer. You have to do it. Like I said, high value teams, God Ki is one of those teams that I think is going to get updated quite frequently. So as a result, the Blue Super Saiyan Blue Goku is my next character on the list that you want to exchange for. He's actually a phenomenal character. I enjoy that character a ton. I think he's really good, very useful. No matter the level you're at, you know, he's just good in general. I really like what they did with the Zenkai. He doesn't feel like heavily oppressive, but he can definitely hold his own in any matchup. So definitely second most character on my list. Simply, again, because of the value. You can also use him on Sun Family as well, even though he doesn't offer the Z ability to that team. If you've got enough, you know, Z ability buffers, you only need like realistically like 4 or 5. You don't need a full team of 6 unless you're super OCD about that thing, which is fine. Some people are. I sometimes am. But realistically, 4 or 5 characters buffing Z ability, you can spare 1 or 2 characters not buffing the full team, and he doesn't buff them, he buffs God Ki, but you can run him reliably there as your blue, especially if you don't have the LF Goku, who's going to be the next one on our list, but high value character there because of the teams he has access to overall. Again, God Ki I think is one of the top teams to invest in, just because they're going to drop a lot of God Ki characters as we go. Think about how many more Vegito Blues or whatever we're going to get as the game ages, assuming it reaches, you know, a number of years. We're about to hit number 3. Let's say it reaches like 6-7 years. How many do you think they're going to release in that time span? Excuse me. Beerus is or whatever, right? God Ki is very high value. So next up on the list is the Zenkai Lf Goku. Now, the only downside is, again, he's another LF character. There's a handful of them on this list. If you have him at 7-star, he's a no-brainer. If you have him only at 7-star, you don't have Gohan at 7-star, again, no-brainer. He should be one of your priorities. One of the top teams, I think, to invest in the game, probably like top 5, is Saiyans. The only reason why they wouldn't be any higher on that list is because a lot of the characters are actually going to be parts from different teams, right? Like God Ki, for example, that Blue Goku we just talked about. You can put him on Saiyans reliably, really well. But there's, at some point, a lot of these characters are just blending between teams, and they'd rather be elsewhere, right? But this Goku, he's actually really good. His Z ability is top-notch. Saiyan's double attack is always going to be good in this game. On top of that, though, very, very powerful last-man-standing fighter. I think in the hands of a very skilled player, he could make an argument for being one of the best characters in the game, like top 2 or 3. But for the average player, I think he's probably even closer to the range of 6 or 7 total overall, but that's still really good. Still really, really good. But he should be the next one you offer investment into, in my opinion, if you have him at 7. Now, the next one is pretty cool because Majin Buu is a very old character, and he's still really good. And like I said, Regen is a team that resurfaces quite a bit in the meta. Regen is always been a team that resurfaces. They'll be really good, and then they'll get outdated, and then they'll get really good again, and then they'll get outdated. And right now they're in a really sweet spot where they have like this really cool dichotomy in teams where they can run like a melee version or a blast version, and each one is equally good, right? Regen is just a very powerful team, and this Buu, you can't go wrong with him. Even if it's like run him to Zenkai buff somebody like Good 21, that's fine. But and I'm not really talking much about Zenkai buffs here because that's a whole different can of worms for the record. Like, all these characters have increased value because of that. You can run them to buff other characters or whatever the case is, right? But, yeah, high value character here. Regen, I think, is going to age really well. I think he's really good. His strike lock is still one of the most oppressive things. He's one of the main tanks in the game, in my opinion, still, even all these months later after his release. He's still going to be a very, very valuable tank to have. And again, if you're a budget player or a free player, I can't stress how important it is to build up, you know, just a couple of really good Zenkais, because that's going to hold you in the meta. Like, people complain about what Zenkais have done to the game, and I think that, again, like I'll talk about in a minute, the Zenkai system has improved dramatically. Oh my God, it's changed so much. It's gotten so much better, the way that they've handled Zenkais with the releases, and just look at this list. Like, they're giving everybody these characters. Now, you do have to have them 7-star. That's the only way they're going to monetize this. I guess not really, because they do still drop the banner, right? But you get the point. It's improved dramatically. And for an old character like this, that a lot of people have 7-star, like, you have to do it, I think. And if you care about being top ranks and stuff like that, you have to consider Majin Buu. He's just that good. So next one on our list is Ss3 Goku. He actually is, I mean, you can, this list is fluid, right? Any of these characters can move around, but I think he's really valuable, again, being a Saiyan character. He actually has Sun Family viability, but he would rather be on a Saiyan team because he misses out on part of his last unique if he's with any hybrids or whatever, anything that's non-Saiyan. But the Zenkai ability is pretty good there. The Z ability is really good there. The double defense variation to the offensive variation that the Blue Goku had not that long ago. High value character here. Don't really have much to say. He's pretty powerful as well. His update is one of the quote-unquote balanced ones, but it's good enough. I mean, he does a lot of damage now, so I like him a lot. Beerus. not the Titan that he was when he came out, because the climate of the game has changed dramatically. Beerus used to be the undisputed king of this game for a while before we started getting more and more Zenkais. Still pretty solid, probably more of the one of the more middling Zenkais nowadays among the list overall, right? But that's not bad. These are all really good characters relative to the rest of the game that is not Zenkai Awakenable. So, high value character for God Key. All I really need to say there. He doesn't really fit anywhere else, but God Key, again, you fit him and you run him. I'm going to be honest, I'd rather run Beerus as a bench buffer for Vados. Beerus has his own viability. Most of the time, it's going to be with that main slot ceiling, or main ability ceiling, right? But I think Vados just adds so much to the God Key team. Like, she is so good with the sustain, the damage buff, like all these things she offers. The only thing she can't really do is tank well, but she tanks a lot better with Beerus on the bench. So if you have Vados especially, you definitely want to get that Beerus. Again, if you have him 7-star. Green Broly. Arguably the best Broly in the game. I have him second to only the LF Blue Broly, but this guy is tremendously good. He is one of the only characters that's going to live a full combo for you. Really don't need much to say here. If you like movies, if you like Super Saiyans, I haven't really talked much about Super Saiyans. He is going to be one of your main staples on those teams overall. Even though Super Saiyans has gotten access to the Holy Trinity again, I'm going to be honest, I think that this Broly fits better than Purple Broly on the current iteration of Super Saiyans alongside Gogeta. So definitely worth considering. Again, he is one of those characters you get at 7-star as well. So if he's one of the only characters on this list you have at 7-star, if you're like a new player or whatever, he should be your top priority overall. If you don't have any of the characters above him, that's how the list works. You should be going for him ASAP, Zenkai 7, first things first, right? So towards the last half here, if you haven't yet, hit the thumbs up, subscribe. Piccolo is pretty good. Okay, like I said with Regen with Majin Buu, Piccolo fits more on the blast variation of the team. I think he's just about as good as Demon King Piccolo, who fits on the strike variation of it. So there's that. But again, Regen, high value no matter what you're doing. You want to stock up on Regen characters regardless. So high value, but again, LF character, so what you can do about it. So Gohan was actually recently added to the list. And I actually really like this Gohan, but he was... Okay, so there's not a ton of purple hybrid Saiyan competition for him. He fits fine on Sun Family for the most part, I guess right now, until like Goten gets a Zenkai, whenever that is, or whatever the case is, more options. But even though we have Ss3 Goku now with Zenkai, we have LFUI, so really Gohan's place is kind of come and gone on Sun Family, but I'll entertain it. But he fits fine there. He has a nice supporting unique ability. I just don't think that he is a character you guys should be going out of your way to get. As somebody that's had this Gohan longer than most people have, because I had him when I had to summon him for 20,000 CCs. Didn't I mention how this system has changed so much? 20,000 Chrono Crystals. Yes. Anyways, as someone that's had him for a very long time, I think this is a pretty fair placement for him. Pretty much in the middle of this list overall. I think hybrids has very good value. If you have the LF Gohan, I think that, like I said, the list is fluid. Purple Gohan might be one of your top priorities overall because he fits really, really well. Even though they have different playstyles, he fits really well with his LF variant. So there's that. But otherwise, I don't think he's a character you need to prioritize overall. And he's not really like super available. He's a character that a lot of people probably won't even have at 7-star. Same goes for Goku Black whenever we get there. I don't believe Goku Black was part of that free update 7 stars and blah blah in the story mode. So the next 3 were, so I'm just gonna kind of bunch them all together. I think Blue Broly's pretty good. Blue Broly is, if you like movies, fine. He's solid on Super Saiyans, but he's definitely like the 3rd or 4th, not even 3rd or 4th, maybe like 4th or 5th best blue option for that team. So he's pretty low on the totem pole. But again, if you don't have options, you definitely want to go for him. But again, that's assuming you have Bardock at Zenkai 7 most likely, which he's not a part of this list yet. One of the characters that's missing. So yeah, other than that, I think that's a pretty adequate placement for him. Again, I'm trying to stay away from Zenkai ability buffs, but if I do need to mention that, there are some good characters that are movies blue characters, like the LF Blue Broly, who I consider to be #1 in the game among Broly characters. Vegeta and Goku, their main value, I'm going to be honest, is the Zenkai ability. So I'm going to just kind of factor them in. If you have good purple Saiyans or red Saiyans, they might jump this list a little bit higher, but they're not very good standalone characters. Same goes for Goku Black. I think Goku Black was, at one time, kind of underrated, but I don't think he's particularly that great nowadays. So that's just me. Again, the list isn't really about how good a character is. For the most part, there's maybe like 2 or 3 characters that are adequately placed on how good they are, like Gohan and maybe those last 3 Saiyans, but the rest of the list in between is fluid in terms of how good the characters are. It's more or less priorities, right? So on to the Zenkai system. It's not so much of an angry rant type of thing. So the way that the list has the system has changed is actually quite interesting. I can make a whole video about it, but I'm gonna try to concise it here a little bit. So, like I said, once upon a time, you had to summon 20,000 Chrono Crystals to get the characters. There were not very many, but they decided that they wanted to really ramp up Zenkai releases, and they've started putting them out literally bi-weekly. Once every 2 weeks, we started getting a Zenkai character. So to combat that, they reduced the cost by 2/3, down to about 7,000 Chrono Crystals on summons for the characters overall. Now, since then, they've done things like this new shop where they're offering them as available characters. They've done things like adding in the mission plans or whatever for those characters. That's not what it's called, but you go to the missions, you can now get, you know, enough to 7-star the character, and maybe like Zenkai 1 the character, I believe. They've done different things like that to try to make Zenkais a lot more accessible. Why? Because I think people need to get over the fact that they're mad at Zenkais in the game. Zenkais ruin the game for a lot of people, that's fair. I think that they kind of realized this in terms of the management team of the game, and they've tried to rebound a lot by making Zenkais even more accessible, by also dropping a lot more free Zenkais. The free EXs are pretty good characters. They're not, you know, game breaking, but they're pretty good. All of them are really useful in certain spots. Like Nappa's your next best red character for Saiyans, for example. EX Nappa behind Red Gogeta. That's also due to lack of competition, but he's pretty powerful, man. He can do a lot of damage. So there's that. They try to make it a lot more accessible. They put the characters here too. Like I said, this whole mode's got revamped for that. And the game has shifted to where Zenkais is the focus. And that's why this type of video, I think, is very important, because I think people need to build their teams with Zenkais in mind, because they're putting out content with Zenkais in mind. I mean, look at this. Look at this right here. Look at the stars this dude got. These characters have 9 stars. Well, it's technically, what, +2 or whatever? But you get the point. These characters have like 9 out of 14 stars. That is a lot of stars, right? So, you can see maybe my next video there. I don't know. My team's sorted a certain way. My box is sorted a certain way. Anyways, they're building these characters and all that stuff with Zenkais in mind. But I will say they've also been balancing the Zenkais a little bit more. And I think there's going to be a shift here where LFs become the dominant forces again among the game, as opposed to Zenkais being so oppressively overpowered to the point where LFs are worthless, right? I think that they notice that as well, and they're trying to rebound and all these different things. And like I said, I could really keep on going on about this, but I'm not going to keep it going. Long story short, I think that they're doing a good job. I think they are doing a good job with the way that they've been tweaking this system over the year or year and a half it's been out in the game, but they're blatantly telling you with a revamp to the story event and how accessible they're making these characters that this is the focus. At some point, every character in the game should get a Zenkai. They're literally coded to get Zenkais because how they get their last levels on like their strikes and blast levels and all that stuff from soul boosting. That is how they do it. They're coded to get Zenkais. Everyone, every character. We haven't got a hero Zenkai, but they're coded that way too. So I think that it's important they keep doing what they're doing here. And the only real bottleneck on this system nowadays is the 7-star requirement, which is a huge one when they keep Zenkaiing LFs. This whole list right here is LFs, by the way. So that's a huge one. But they also, I guess, are trying to alleviate it a little bit. I don't know if they're going to keep doing what they did with Ss3 Goku and giving out, like, what, a 2-star copy or whatever for free, which is better than nothing. I'm not going to complain, right? But, like, they're doing what they can within reason, right? Because not everything's going to be handed for free. There has to be some bottleneck to monetize. And I think they're doing a good job overall. So, I think it's pretty good. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys have any other video recommendations down below, let me know. Yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Have an awesome day, and I'll be seeing all of you in the next video.